Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kitchen Chat. I'm Margaret McSweeney, and I'm delighted you're joining me here today with Nancy Davis, who is the founder of Race to Erase MS. And as we know, major discussions always happen in the kitchen, the heart of the home. And so it's just such an honor, Nancy, to be in your kitchen to talk about this important event, this important awareness of MS. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming and talking about Race to Erase MS. It's coming up really soon. It's April 15th, and we're so excited. We have KISS playing this year, which is pretty amazing. They don't do charity events, so they're doing ours, which is amazing. And it's the first time it's in a bit of a smaller room and not a gigantic stadium, but they're wearing the full makeup and doing the whole everything. So we're so excited. We've never had anybody like them play. So everybody's really counting it up and figuring out their outfits to wear that night and make it look great. Sorry, there's the phone.
No, that's okay.
That's my house.
This is okay.
Our kitchen is kind of the nerve center of our house. Everything happens in the kitchen.
Yes, and the kitchen is the heart of the home and the heart of the world. And so tell us about, did you do a lot of planning for the event in the kitchen?
You know what? I always come sit in the kitchen when I come home, and I have all my papers and my books and my schedules and various things. So it's kind of like giving birth to a child. I think it takes about 9 months to produce a healthy event. Yes. And in the beginning, you have a little morning sickness here and there, and then by the end, you're just, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I hope I deliver the healthy baby that night. So it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of people who all come together who are so amazing and generous and supportive in so many ways. There's so many different elements to creating an event, and we are so lucky that we have had, this will be our 23rd annual Race to Erase MS, and we've raised about $40 million over the years. And it's the money has actually gone to really changing the entire landscape of MS. For that young person being diagnosed today with MS, it's such a different world. When I was diagnosed 25 years ago, there was no known cause, no cure, no drugs on the market, not even a protocol of what you should or should not do. Excitingly today, there are going to be 13 drugs with FDA approval. The latter ones are getting much better at what they do. They work differently than some of the first ones, but no two people with MS have exactly the same MS, and people need to be really careful, talk to doctors, get second opinions, and find out what the appropriate medicines are correct for the type of MS that they have. But we're excited. We're about to announce FDA approval of the 13th MS drug, which is really, if you look at how medicine happens and getting FDA approval, it's nothing short of a miracle. However, there's still a lot of people who are suffering, and it's our goal to use all the leverage that we can now to really find a cure and sort of win our race to erase MS.
Yes, and we're going to make sure we put a link to this great organization, and it's erasems.org.
Correct.
Great. And I would love to hear more about your story. I mean, that must have been such a shock at such a young age to be diagnosed.
Well, it was sort of, I had a ski accident, and about 3 weeks later I woke up and I kept losing feeling in different parts of my body, and then I lost my eyesight. And I called the orthopedic doctor because I had a knee brace on and I was having physical therapy, so I figured something was hitting a nerve and something was wrong. The physical therapy doctor said it's not his area. I finally did go to a neurologist. They did MRIs, and they found out I had MS. I had a pretty quick diagnosis, because most people it takes a lot longer to get diagnosed, not for me. And they were really sure that I had MS. I was devastated. I was, young mom, 3 little kids, and not in such a good marriage. And it just was such a rough time. And I don't know, I was always this sort of healthy person who, there was nothing I couldn't do. I mean, I had a black belt in karate, I skied, I just kind of did everything. And all of a sudden they're telling me, the doctor who diagnosed me said, just go home and go to bed. And I said, well, yeah, for how long? He goes, forever. Like, well, what do you mean forever? And he goes, well, look, you're really lucky. You can have people bring you food in your room, and you'll be able to operate the remote control on your TV set. And I'm like, that's the life that I have to look forward to. And I thought I would go get many second opinions, which I did. I was fortunate that I could go get second opinions. Many doctors told me different things, which was good. Most people listen to the first doctor, and if you do that, it's not good unless you like what the doctor's telling you. If you don't like what they're telling you, you owe it to yourself to always get a second opinion.
Yes.
So along the way, I listened to the research that was going on at some of the finest with the finest doctors in the finest hospitals all over the country, and it was pretty amazing that they were all doing identical research as each other, and they knew that they were the only one doing it. And when I would bring up the fact, well, they're doing that at Harvard, they're doing that at Yale, they're doing that at the Cleveland Clinic, they're doing that at USC, they're doing that at UC San Francisco, they said, you don't know what you're talking about, you're not a doctor. I said, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a terrified patient, and every word that you're saying in my appointments is ringing really loud and clear as I go to bed at night. I know exactly, and any fancy Latin terms any doctor can have can easily be put into common English words for anybody to understand, and their doctor owes it to them to explain something so that they thoroughly understand it. So. We created this thing called the Center Without Walls. We've never spent a penny on mortar and bricks. We have no buildings. There's really amazing doctors. There's really amazing hospitals. But the amount of research that's getting funded, it's only, about, a third of what should be funded. And we thought this is where our niche could be. And we put 7 of arguably the best doctors in the country together. They're from Harvard, from Yale, the Cleveland Clinic, USC, UC San Francisco, Johns Hopkins, and now Cedars-Sinai. And the idea is that every month they have to communicate on everything, both good and bad. 90% of medical studies end up with a negative result. Those are just as important as the positive results. People need to know not to spend the same amount of money, time, and energy over and over again and end up with the same result. And also, out of every bad study, you find some positive elements that you can use when you're re-engineering another study. So it's really important to know that. And I think that's why we all of a sudden got everywhere. When we started, there was nothing and no hope. So today, this hopelessness has been replaced with hopefulness. And it's not some sort of a pipe dream, but we are going to find a cure for MS. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yes, and we can all help. Listeners, viewers, we can all help. Go to erasems.org.
erasems.org.
erasems.org. We also